What life is really like behind closed doors with the narcissist. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, and in this video, I'm going to describe what my life was like in my marriage to a narcissist. To those outside the marriage, it looked perfect, like a fairy tale. People saw where I lived, the beautiful home on 2.5 acres, the shimmering ponds that I stocked with koi fish, turtles, and water lilies, the well-manicured lawn and the landscaping. People saw me and thought I was lucky to live in such a lovely home and not have to work. Many thought I had it made. And at first, so did I. There had been so many financial struggles I had experienced in my life before meeting the narcissist, and I felt a sense of relief along with stability and security. Therefore, I was more than happy to cook and clean and do laundry and basically keep up the household. I gladly helped my husband with whatever project he was working on or anything else he needed help with. He was older than me and suffered many health issues, so I spent a lot of time and energy on back rubs, foot rubs, personal yoga sessions, and energetic healings. I am a light worker, Reiki master, and yoga instructor. Again, I was happy to do all of this because I loved him. He was taking care of our finances, and I was content to leave him to that. I trusted him completely. The love bombing period I experienced was extremely brief, and the devaluation period began quickly. It started slowly, and over time it escalated. For example, whenever we had people over, the entire conversation revolved around him. He controlled the topic of discussion and did the majority of the talking. He barely noticed me whenever there were others around. Conversations generally involved talking about his past accomplishments and past romantic partners. He would talk in front of me about places he went or things he did with his first wife or with his second wife. I am his third wife. I noticed how people would look at me to gauge my reaction to what he said, so I made sure I acted like I was completely unfazed by his blatant disrespect and his complete inconsideration of my feelings. It was awkward, to say the least, because I had nothing to add to these conversations. After all, I wasn't there for the events he spoke of. Later, when we were alone, I would express my feelings to him, a feeling left out of being left out of the conversations, or how I was embarrassed that he constantly referred to his exes. He would tell me that I was, quote, too sensitive and accuse me of being jealous. I was never jealous. I felt invalidated, I felt ignored, and felt disrespectful, but I actually never felt jealous. When we attended parties or get-togethers with friends, he'd find a way to passive-aggressively throw me under the bus. We attended a Christmas party one year that was a lot of fun. Everyone was having a great time. Now, as we were leaving, our host packed some leftover treats for us to take with us when we left. She handed them to my husband. She said, "I would have packed more, but they contain dairy and Lisa won't eat them." At that time, I was eating mostly a vegan diet. My husband responded loudly so everyone could hear, "Oh, she'll eat dairy. She ate a gallon of ice cream last night." I was mortified. Yes, I did in fact eat ice cream the night before. Not a gallon, of course, but I did stray from my usual vegan regime and treated myself to a bowl of ice cream. When we got home, I asked him why had he said that? Why had he embarrassed me like that? His response was, "If you were living your truth, you wouldn't have to worry about me telling it." It was a long time before I ate ice cream again. I didn't want my husband, the food police, to embarrass me like that in the future. Another time he took me to a barbecue where there was, of course, beer being served. I'm not much of a drinker and especially just don't like beer. So when the host offered me a beverage, I asked for a soft drink. My anarch husband piped up saying, "A soft drink is better for her today. She threw down half a bottle of whiskey last night." I wanted to shrink into the floor at that moment. I barely knew these people. Those who know me know I rarely have a drink, but these people had never met me before, and my husband made it sound like I was a lush. The truth of what I had the night before was a cup of coffee with Bailey's Irish cream mixed into it. Now, this time, I didn't say anything to my husband about what he said. I had become aware that any time I expressed a dislike to something he did or said, he would do or say it even more. On the occasions I would complain about how he treated me, he would say, "Look at where you get to live. You think anyone's going to feel sorry for you? Most women would be grateful and happy to have what you have." On a side note, I actually experienced financial abuse throughout this marriage, and I will address that in a later video. As time went by, I began to notice that many people actually did notice his public humiliations of me, and many even said something to me about his behavior. Others didn't say anything, but it was obvious they disapproved of his insults towards me, which were disguised as humor. One of the most infuriating and disrespectful things he did was to talk loudly about his past sexual encounters with women he had known before me. When he did this, it was obvious to me that it made people uncomfortable, and some would look at me as if to say, "I am so sorry he's talking like this." He would even mention our supposed sex life to his teenage son and his son's friends, insinuating that he was planning an all-nighter with me. This was not only embarrassing, but also completely false. Now, the reason I use the phrase supposed sex life is because this man was completely 100% impotent. Literally. He had been impotent long before I met him, and this never changed. Even the little blue pill didn't work for him. So while he bragged, usually in an indirect way, to his friends, alluding to this fantastic sex life he was having with me, nothing could be further from the truth. Literally, the marriage was never consummated. Yes, you heard that right. He projected an image of us as living the good life and having a great time. He liked showing off his home and possessions, and those possessions included me. I'm 13 years younger than him, so here he was with a younger, attractive wife who doted on him, and for a long time I did dote on him. The facade of the ideal marriage that he projected to others was just that, a facade. No one saw what went on when the party was over, when the company left, when we were alone, behind closed doors. No one saw how he berated me because I mentioned a New Year's resolution to someone, a resolution I had failed to tell him about beforehand and was thus screamed at because I had embarrassed him and made him look bad since he didn't know what his wife's plans were. No one heard him threaten to kick me out of the house because I had dared to question his behavior. No one knew that the reason I was so quiet when he was around was because I was walking on eggshells, trying not to do or say anything that would inflame his rage. No one knew that I was anxious after people would leave and I was all alone with him. No one knew the constant state of hypervigilance I lived in. No one saw the tears I cried, the sadness I felt, or the deep depression I was sinking into more and more every day. No one knew that the beautiful home I lived in was just a pretty prison. If you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and may you have a blessed day.